Okay, so my name is Mary Grenet, and I own Bluegrass Bungalows Staging. Um, and again, I'm also an agent as well. So I used to actually be here, and then now we have Firefly Realty that I'm an agent with there. So so let's talk about some staging, I guess. Um, okay, so a little bit about me and my company. So I kind of started staging in 2018, just kind of casually, just because I had like a client that wanted me to sell a house and it was really horrible. And he said, "What do you think?" I said, "I think we should stage it." And he said, "Well, yeah, can you do that?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And I have no idea why I said that, and I didn't have anything to like back it up, but like I said it that maybe we could do it. Yeah, sure. And so I just started it casually then, and then it kind of went from there. And I started this little kind of boutique company on my own. So yeah. Okay, so people ask me all the time, like, why do you stage? Why take the time to stage a home? You know, and I really truly think, I'm sure you all have seen houses that you'd be like, this really needs staged, or something needs to happen here. And so the reason why I stage, and I stage a lot of my listings, and that's kind of again where it all started, was because I really truly think buyers need some sort of emotional connection to what they're seeing in their home. You know, you have to have somebody connect with something in the home and have it aesthetically pleasing for the buyers to be happy in their space. And then they start mentally thinking, oh my God, I could live here. I could really live here. And again, they become emotionally attached to any sort of item. Like I've had people say, oh my God, I read that book. I love that book that you have on your end table. And I'm like, oh, really? I've never read it, but
My plants would love it here.
yes,
Yeah.
so amazing. So this is, I think, yeah, like a really big thing for me is like, I use a lot of new stuff. I'm always kind of turning over my furniture and like getting new stuff, selling the old and having new pieces all the time. But again, like when I stage a house, this is what I want the buyers to say. You know, I could live here. Oh my God, it's amazing here. Look at, I saw this carpet on Pinterest and I really wanted to do it, but I don't have the mental, I can't do this, you know, or, you know, there's space for my kids here. We could move here. There is enough space. There's flex space here, 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 where, you know, we've pointed it out. And then, yeah, like my favorite is, my plants could live here. I've always wanted a big, healthy fig tree, but I can't have that in my apartment because it's like a dungeon. So I can't have the plants I want, but I could have them here. I could have my plants here. So yeah. And I do think staging is, I mean, why would you do it? You all know, like, I'm sure you've been into a listing where it's vacant. And then you go and see a house with the same buyer and it's staged, and there's like a complete emotional difference in the listing. I mean, you know, oh, okay, yeah, it's great, blah, blah, blah. And then you go into a staged home and it completely turns. It's a whole new atmosphere for your buyer, I do think. So what we do as a staging company that kind of sets us apart. I know there's obviously a couple companies here, you know, in Lexington and Central Kentucky that do the same thing. And basically all of our services are going to be about the same. But I think the thing that sets us apart is we always pay for your listing photos. So, and I do that because I really like who I use. You know, I use a couple of different people, but the main person I use, I really like. I think he does a really good job. And then that way that takes the cost off of you all as listing agents. So I don't know who's here on Zoom or whatnot, or, you know, if you're like a new agent, I know when I just started out and somebody came to me and said, I want you to list my house. I didn't have like a lot of money to have like photos done. You know, I know at this point now, you know, you look at it, oh, it's $200 or whatnot. But for a new agent starting out, like, I think that that's really important to have really good photos. And so that kind of takes the cost off of you all as agents. And then, you know, obviously you can use them for your listing photos, you can have, you know, property of them. But I do that as well, so I can have ownership of the photos, so I can use them later on my social media platform and for my portfolio as well. And so I also love to use local artists in all of our houses. So anything from like wall art or like a local nursery, or pottery from, you know, Frankfurt, where I live, like I use a lot of their stuff too. And so I just really think that that's important. And also it gives the buyers another way to connect to that piece of something in the home. Like I love Kayla Nord's paintings. And so I always use them and somebody's like, oh my God, I love her, you know, and so it's so cool. So it just gives them another way to connect. And so I always use live plants. This is like the whole plant thing. Because I think plants right now are like all the rage. They're so trendy. Everybody loves them. They're all great. And what was it like when COVID, you know, they say plants are like the new pets or whatnot. Kids are the new, what is it? Kids are the new whatever, but plants are the new pets. And it's like all the rage, you know, COVID. And so, and
Lady talks to mine.
yes, see, that's what, and I actually, my assistant, she was helping me move stuff out of a listing one time, and she said, she looked at me and she said, you can tell your plants love you so much. I'm like,
We're getting to that time of year now, when the shops are done again.
they all, yeah,
I'm afraid my wife will bring something home every time she's a plant mom.
yes,
And every time every time she leaves the house,
yeah,
when those places are open, there could be something new that she sees,
Yeah.
that she has, to.
Yeah.
If somebody puts something on the curb, she has to see it every single time.
Do you go to water plants or do? people-
I do.
Okay.
I do. Just because I'm like a control freak, I'll just go once a week and water all my plants.
Right.
There was one where I was like, oh God, I haven't been over there, and it was fine. You know, they just know there's an emotional connection there. They know that I'll be back for them.
She's a
Oh.
plant mom.
Yeah, yeah. So, but also plant people they connect with their plants, you know, like I said before, like they could say, oh my God, I've always wanted a big fig tree, but I never could have one. But I could have one here. Look at it. It looks beautiful and so healthy in front of that window. You know, yeah, like it's a thing. So the other really important thing that I think is I leave all my furnishings in the property until you have a clear to close. So some people will just leave them in after, you know, inspections or maybe after appraisal, or they're just going off of whatever the realtor tells them to. Okay, hey, you can remove the items now. But for me, as an agent myself, I just get so nervous and like, I'm not going to move that stuff back in if things fall through, you know, I mean, I will, but it's a pain for everybody. So I always wait that you have a clear to close. And so some people have said, oh, that's going to bite you in the butt. Don't do that. Don't do that. But it hasn't yet so far. So I'm okay with that method because I think it protects your seller, you as a realtor, and me as a non-physical person that doesn't like to move furniture physically more than once. So, and then also we provide a contract up front that itemizes all costs and ongoing expenses. So I basically price room to room, and then, you know, we write up a contract to that effect. And then, I've only had to implement this one time, but if you have the furniture for more than 30 days, then we can prorate that after. So if your seller wants it to be another 30 days, then we can do that full price, typically prorate. I mean, again, I've never really had to implement this. You know, I don't know why your listing wouldn't sell in 30 days unless it's like, you know, on top of a sinkhole or like the swamp or something like that. They're all gonna sell. My goal is to, like when I stage property, my goal is to have it for you all under contract within like 3 days. If it goes a week, like I'm like getting nervous and I'll probably go over there and throw some more plants in there or something, you know, sort of coffee pot or something, you know. So, yeah, right. Like the candles that I have in there. Okay, so here's just some stats. I'm not like a huge numbers girl. But again, these are just things, kind of off realtor.com and just things you can find. So 96% of realtors believe that home staging positively influences a buyer's decision. I think that I can attest for that. I think that you probably all can attest for that. I think it's just, it just makes the home present, at least if I were to disagree, I would say 100% of the time it's gonna, prove to be a better outcome than non-staged.
Not be positive.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, how, I don't know any realtors that say, oh, let's not get it staged.
Like that one thing just. For,
Right, yes. So staged homes obviously sell 88% faster and for 20% more compared to homes that were not staged. So again, like my goal when I stage your property is I want you to have multiple offers and I want you to have over asking prices. That gives me a thrill. So I really like that. So that's kind of how we work. And then staged homes spend between 33 and 50% less time on market. Again, realtor.com, I'm not really sure, but I do know that they spend a lot less time on the market, just in my everyday experience. So a lot of people have asked, well, hey, why not just virtually stage?
I don't think I think that is not under code of ethics,
Yes,
because it says that you cannot do something to your listings that is not accurate, and
Correct.
virtual staging is not accurate.
correct.
I don't know how they're getting away with it.
Yeah, and so that's what I have found personally. So if you virtually stage your listing, not even the whole thing, just a few rooms or whatnot, you have to put in your listing that you are using virtually staged photos to be legal as realtors. So, that's a thing also. The other thing that we find is that, in my opinion, when you have a buyer, you want them to walk into the property and have it look exactly like it does online, right? I don't even want my photos to be completely edited to where somebody walks into the house and say, oh my God, like, obviously the photos were super edited. We want the buyers to look into the home and say, this looks exactly like it does online. And like, it's also misleading for some buyers to say, where's the bed? Because it's really easy for buyers to skip over that maybe sentence in the listing that may be on the very bottom of the agent's listing saying home is virtually staged. Most buyers don't even wait till the end of that listing to see that. So they go in and expecting all these great things to be, in it.
I don't see a lot of virtual staging in the market.
Yes, I'm seeing
I virtually staged a huge square foot Victorian home.
Yeah,
Because it was the only feasible option
yeah,
to paint a picture, but I mean, I put it in there, it was qualified, it was the old Von Lillard distillery home.
yeah, yeah.
It's just- Yeah,
I will say I had to virtually stage one of my listings last year. It was the week before Christmas and she wanted me to stage it. And I just did not have the time to do it and get their listing on the market the week before Christmas, which is when I wanted to do it. So we did.
last ditch effort kind of thing.
Yeah.
Instead of.
So we virtually staged, I think, the living room and a bedroom. But I will say, agent's feedback said, and I did show it to one of my buyers too, and they said, what do I do with this space? Where was the bed again? How big was the bed? In the pictures, was it a king or a queen?
Mhm.
And I myself had to say, oh, I mean, I don't know.
Mhm.
I know they had a king here before when they lived here.
Right.
But I only knew that information because I had the sellers, like I was, I saw it beforehand. So I think that that's a question for buyers, when you see, because they don't know, like, they can't picture. I'm not like downgrading our buyers or anything, but like, they can't picture anything themselves. So like, if they ask, well, can I put a king bed in here? Does it even fit? they just don't know. And so I think that that's a huge, downfall for, virtual staging. And I mean, it's price wise, virtual staging is cheaper, but again, like you get what you pay for. It's just kind of a thing that you have to think about. Okay, so this is kind of cool, aspect of the business that I put onto, within the last maybe 2 years. So we offer full Airbnb design and setup. So I'm sure a lot of you all as agents have had investors or clients come to you and say, hey, I want to buy this house. I'm going to turn it into an Airbnb. I'm going to do all these great things, but they might not even know how to do those things or how to get it done or where to start or how much it costs or, what they even need to buy. So we have all these investors that have great ideas and they have maybe the money to back it up, which is great. But this aspect of the business kind of puts it into perspective for everybody. So we can do, if you have a property that, somebody buys, we have the ability to go to them and say, hey, this is what you need, right? From bed frames to, salt and pepper shakers, like we have it all. And it takes a lot of material to do this. So, and we can do all of that. We can do all the shopping, delivery, setup, cleanup, pictures as well are included. And then you're able to just toss it over to your client and put it on the Airbnb platform or the VRBO platform. And we also do kind of a la carte services, based on, their budget and timeline. So, if you had somebody that says, I'm gonna set it up myself, but I don't know what to put in there, I don't know what to buy, I don't know what design to do, then, absolutely, like we can shop for you. That's my favorite part of it. Yeah, let me shop and do all the things for you, and then you can set it all up and it can be delivered, to your home or to your office or directly to the Airbnb.
If you do it, then they pay for it as a package, I guess.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
yeah. So, and then, and again, or if it's like flipped, if they have all the stuff and they have already purchased it, but they don't have the ability to set it up and put everything out and set, things where they need to be, then we can do that part as well too. And again, photos are, included in either one of those services.
So many little things you don't think about when you set one up.
Yeah, how many sheet sets do you need? How many, forks? How many sets of, everything do you need? What kind of rugs would you use? Are you allowing pets or are you not? Do you need washable rugs or do you need just regular, are you okay with regular, white, crisp rugs? Which I think is a huge thing. So, and again, that service varies. It just depends on what, your client needs and kind of where the property is. I would say for me, when I do the full setup, I give my client a furniture budget, I say, hey, like for this one, this is a, cabin in the gorge. And it's a 3-2, but the loft had 2 beds. So it's really it was like almost a double room. Cause he wanted to sleep 2, 4, 6, 8, honestly 8. So I gave him a furniture budget of, this one was $12,000, just for furnishings. And then my charge, was 7,500. Only because it's an hour and 20 minutes away from my house. And, like there's no Lowe's there anywhere or a, like a Walmart or anything. So if you're there and I ran out of, what was it? I needed to hang lights or something and I needed a little extension cord. Well, that's gotta wait till next time. So there was like kind of more so of a trip fee for that. But I would say anything around, Lexington, kind of central Kentucky, the fees are a little bit.
You're gonna, come on, please. Mary's doing a staging class. Yes.
Oh,
Sorry.
so yeah, I'm sure you all have seen kind of an uptick on these Airbnb investments. I feel like everybody wants to do them, like they're just all the rage right now, and everybody's thinking they can kind of get into the pool of, Airbnbs, really.
I'm aware that it's totally off topic, but I think that it's reaching a saturation point,
Yeah,
especially for the short term Airbnb. I think finding some price right for the furnished finders, traveling nurses that are at a lower price point.
yeah,
Still,
exactly.
that's kind of the next level. I think. Find the right problem.
Well, and what I'm seeing too is like with my clients that already have established Airbnbs, they are at this point revamping them. So if they were established, right, and you could get maybe 150 a night, they're revamping them and redoing them and adding amenities to them in order to either keep their bookings or to charge more per night. Like I'm doing one in Georgetown right now where it's been established and he's changing completely everything, like all furniture. He's adding a patio with a hot tub and outdoor TV and a huge thing because it's a draw to Georgetown.
Hot tubbing in Georgetown is a big deal.
Yeah, right. Because apparently, if you search, where to stay in Georgetown, does it have a hot tub and is it pet friendly? And how many you can find on that?
Yeah,
There's zero.
pet friendly is a big one.
Yeah.
Separation.
It helps us, I know.
You accept.
Oh, yeah, we don't have any. They
Yeah.
make it very easy. We have a fenced in backyard and you're like, I don't care what kind of dog you have. bring it.
What kind of flooring do you have?
We have, flavored vinyl.
Yeah. So this one I'm doing, he wants to keep the hardwood,
Oh,
which is fine. It's great. It's beautiful hardwood, but
Harder.
depends on kind of what dog you have, I guess.
As long as it's not like sprinting through the house.
Chasing squirrels like through,
Tyler's kind of dogs are harder on hardwood.
Yeah, you have
all
hardwood.
mine. Yeah, we have three, two big dogs.
Yeah.
And, the hardwood on the main, that's the level, so you can see where they've scratched it. It's just like, all right.
I have a giant dog in.
You live there. So,
I used to be very particular about it, and then we had a kid, and I'm like, no, it's not.
you just throw the dowel in.
Right.
Screw it.
18 years. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's, I don't know, how far we'll go with that service, but we do offer it and it's a lot of time. The other thing I would say is the turnaround time for something like this, if you're looking at like full on setting everything up, and getting pictures depending on, the location, it takes about a week. Like I can get it done in a week and that's like building all the furniture, doing everything. That's about a week. I've done one in like, I don't know, 4 days maybe, and yeah, I got sick like that next week. I had like some sort of crazy cold, so. But yeah. So these are just some like client testimonials. Again, I think this one is the most kind of interesting. So this was the one I did over in Chevy Chase last year, maybe. And he called me and he says, hey, can you, do this staging for me? I've got this new completely remodeled home. It's gonna be high end, and I said, absolutely, I will absolutely do that for you. And so his goal was to have, I think an agent open house on like a Thursday. And so I had it ready, we did pictures on like Tuesday or something. It was ready over the weekend. And so he did his open house on Thursday, his agent open house. Said it was just packed and crazy. And I said, great, that's awesome. I love it, sell it. And he called me, I think Friday night. And he said, you gotta come get your stuff. We had multiple offers. We went over asking, it's cash. You need to get your stuff out by next week.
Ha,
I said, oh, okay, cool. That's really great for you. I love that. That we turned around and then had to do the next weekend and get it all out.
Oh.
So, but that was great for him. I think that that was a really, great success story for him. Yeah,
Do you have a warehouse where you keep stuff?
I have 3 storage units
Wow,
and they're like pretty much the size of this room.
really?
How many houses are you able to like stage at one time?
Yeah, at any given point, I was curious about that too.
I had 4 at one time, I think a few months ago.
Yeah, so you haven't got to the point yet where you. You had to like turn.
In December, that's the listing I was talking about that we virtually staged in December. I said, I physically didn't have the time to do it. It wasn't that I didn't have the furniture, because let me tell you what, I can always go buy more furniture. That's my favorite part of the job. And, but I just didn't physically have the time to be able to empty these other houses out and fill this one. And this listing it was a higher end listing and it was large. I mean, it was, it was about 3,500 square feet. And, she wanted some of the basement done and the 3rd story. And I'm just thinking like, my back, I'm gonna need like surgery. So, yes, I do. Sometimes, but they were booked. I tend to use either movers, depending, it just depends on the project, really. I use movers sometime and then I use, I have assistant. On it as well. It just depends on the scope of the project, really. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, I haven't been able to, but so anyway, yeah, so that's all my information too. Call me, text me, and I'm on Instagram and Facebook too. So questions, yeah, I want to hear them.
What's an average price for an act like a 2,000 square foot?
So, I normally charge about 400 a room. So it just, I don't really go by square footage. I go by, okay, what room do you want for me to do? Because not every project, like you're not gonna stage every single room, right? You're gonna do living room, primary room, dining, kitchen, and like another room or, another living area typically.
So you'd charge 400 for the living room, but 100 for the kitchen as well?
Not for kitchen.
Yeah,
No,
that's
not
what I was
for kitchen.
thinking.
Yeah, living room is typically 400, and I will say, I will, like, any living room, it just depends on what the space needs. But that will include, not just like couch, coffee table, rug, like I put stuff in there, tchotchkes. Plants.
I've seen you staged, Sandale, I think.
Yes,
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so we do add like a bunch of other things to it.
Yeah.
So that's 400, is that for 30 days? Or-
Yeah, per room, for 30 days. And then if you need us to, we'll prorate it. I mean,
put me on your calendar.
okay.
Do you, for those that are at home taking notes or whatever, can you just spout off a couple of addresses they can pull up on Flex of your own listings you've done so they can see your work like truly firsthand as an agent?
Yeah, so the most recent ones were 508 Poplar Street in Georgetown, 511 Poplar Street in Georgetown, 321 Zandale in Lexington.
I saw that one on.
321 Colony, I think. I'm going to empty out that one after I leave here. I think it was 321.
Did that sell? Did they sell it?
Yes, they're closing this week. And then the Cochrane one, the one in Chevy Chase was, oh gosh, it was on Cochrane. I think it was 373. That's Liz's listing right now that I'm mixing up the one that she has. Yeah, so that was last year. Yeah, and I mean, the other thing too, that
363 is Liz's, yeah.
363,
373 is. Liz's.
okay, shoot, I can't remember what that one was. It was Tanner Napier that had it.
Hmm.
It's kind of catty corner across the street from Siobhan, so she's 352.
Is that the one they just redid totally on the outside?
Mhm. Yeah, he totally redid everything on the inside. And that one was, he said, you know, in his little testimonial, like the layout,
Well, there's 252, so it's somewhere in there.
yeah, it's a catty corner across the street. That layout to me did not really work. I mean, it was tight, you know, it was a beautiful home, but you walk in and there's kind of a like weird spot in the front before you go up the stairs, and then the dining was here, and then you walk through that to go to the kitchen, and then your living was like way in the back. So you're like, what do I use with this area here, you know? And so I think that that was a big thing for him. He's like, people wouldn't see, you know, what
You
he
didn't know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you help people with their own personal houses, but ideas, interior?
Almost
design?
interior design. I was wondering that too.
Yeah, I mean, I can, yeah, I mean, I've done it in the past, like this, this Airbnb, this is one that, actually did not sell. It was my listing in Georgetown and we were doing it as an Airbnb. But the numbers just really weren't right for him. And, so he's like revamping everything, so I'm just going in and saying, okay, this is the paint color you need. These are the rugs you need, I'm gonna get this couch for you and do all this. And just completely go through and just redesign everything. And I've given him a price for that too. I think it just depends on the scope of the project, really.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you really enjoy purchasing furniture.
Yes.
Where do you go to do that? Do you
Um,
have lots of?
Well, I go, so if it's like, yeah, I mean. Okay, so I love to shop,
Sure.
but I really like it when people don't put a budget on it for me, so that's. So, that really works well, so you can go anywhere you want
Right.
with those, but, like, if I'm on a budget and I know, you know, in my head what I need, what to purchase for this price, I'll go to, mainly, Wayfair or Amazon. Like, I do a lot of stuff on Amazon, even their furniture. It's a little risky when you do that, if you're buying like couches or beds or something, because you can't sit on them and whatnot. Home Goods, a lot, not specifically for furniture, but for tchotchkes. That's really good.
What'd you say?
Tchotchkes,
The chalk.
I have no clue.
like knickknacks,
And then Bubba's name that.
cutesy little things, yeah.
Next.
Oh.
Chalk.
Little pines. Yeah, little one-ons, yeah.
I try to avoid whatnots if I can. Possibly get away from it.
No, this is my house, like, I would love it to be set up like that, but like, my house looks like a dump. You know, it's like, I go and find everybody else's stuff, and then I come home and I'm like, where are the counters? Like, I can't even see the countertops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
So I moved into my house 8 months ago. And I still haven't hung any of my artwork on the walls.
Yeah. Yeah,
And so I'm starting to feel like maybe it's time.
yeah, maybe so, yeah,
And I need help.
yeah. Well, we can do it, I'd love to.
Okay. I don't think we've been over to my.
I don't, no, I have not. Yeah. Yeah,
Follow-up
This would be
question.
great.
yeah,
Furniture sources, local art sources.
uh-huh.
What would you recommend?
Yeah, so, I love her artwork, Kayla Nord. So you can find that actually in Versailles a lot is where I buy her stuff. They have a new little store. I don't know if you've been there or not. The other one across from the Amstead.
Yes,
I need
yes.
to go back there because there's all kinds of little stuff that I needed.
Who's the people here in our office that they're.
Yeah, we work with Easton Creative, so they're group, Cassie and Charlie Rowland, a couple, and
Right.
they operate as an online only
Yeah.
gallery, right? So representing artists.
Yeah.
Selling works taking a cut, but no
Yeah.
brick and mortar, right? So.
Right, yeah, and so I've kind of looked into that too as well, but for staging, you know, it could be something for Airbnb, you know, but for staging, I try to keep my prices a little, you know, just as low as I can, but still have that quality too, so that's why I haven't done a lot of like online stuff like that,
Yeah.
only because I felt like, you know, kind of that brick and mortar, I can see it, I can look at it, I know what I'm getting, because I've ordered some stuff in the past, and not that, you know, this is that situation, but I've ordered stuff in the past, and then you think it's this great thing, and you spend money on it, and then you get it in the mail, you're like, oh god, I didn't realize, you know, it's not framed, or, you know, stuff like that, so then you have to go out and, you know, do all that work too. But, yeah, I mean, shopping wise, it's like, you know, and this is kind of how it started, I guess, is because, you know, when I told that first client, yeah, I can do it. I'm like, okay, what do I have? I had a lot of extra stuff, you know, so I used it. And then the next job came. And so I said, well, I need more stuff. So I took that money and I just went rolling shopping, right? I didn't start making a profit until, you know, the next year, because all I did the first year was just shop. It was the best year of my life. And I just, yeah, and it was just like so fun, and I was just always shopping for pillows, and they'd be like, you know, I'd go to stores and they'd be like, oh, you must love pillows, you know, I'd hear it all, oh yeah, I really love pillows.
I've got some you can have.
Okay. Love it.
I have 2,700 square feet unfinished in my basement.
And it's full of.
I thought she was gonna say I have 300.
And I just threw a bunch of pillows that I'll never use again. So, yeah,
I know.
come shopping in my basement.
Yeah, and my storage units, like right now, you know, I've got shelves, I've got one that's just tchotchkes, that's just a tchotchke storage unit. And it's just like shelves with like pillows. I try to keep it, you know, like my goal is to look like Paxton Home, you know, when you walk in, but no, it looks like a bomb or so. But, you know, to have it color coordinated and all that fun stuff, but when you have such, it's just hard to organize stuff like that when you are a realtor as well and running another kind of side hustle, so. But yeah,
You probably don't shop a lot of pottery line, that's ROI, but they do.
Right.
You know that they you can set up a business account. 20%.
It's good information.
FYI.
There you go, Mary.
Okay, girl.
yeah, cause like I do buy stuff from Paxton. Like when I'm feeling crazy,
And any of it first.
yeah,
I wish they'd have an IKEA closer to us.
yeah.
You would go to
I've
IKEA.
actually never been to an IKEA in my life,
You would not need, you'd be there for
Yeah.
still,
Oh my gosh, you haven't?
no, never.
you would have a blast to
You
shop.
would be blown away.
Cook your food, live there.
Well, the thing about,
You can take a nap.
People live there, there's probably people living there that they don't know.
Clothes.
I don't know. It's just very, it's a cool place.
I just never have been because I've spent so much time. Vaughn will tell you this, like, I hate putting furniture together, so like,
Oh.
anything at IKEA, I was like, no, I'll pay extra
You could go,
It's so it's.
to have it, yeah,
That's menus too.
you could go just for things, though.
yeah.
Tchotchke.
Shop.
That's my new favorite.
So, yeah, I mean, any other questions, comments? Yeah.
You got one customer already.
Yeah,
Maybe two.
I love it.
Sure.
No questions, only a comment, and I gotta come up here for the people online.
Yes.
So real quick, I have to tell you all that, and this is a personal story. Mary and I just closed out Wednesday.
Yes.
On 511 Poplar. You can look it up on Flex MLS. Totally staged, amazing. And I can speak to her as a realtor, and I can speak to her as a stager. I had great communication all along the way, which is to me the mark of excellence with a wonderful realtor.
Yeah.
When you can set the stage, or you can be the person to say something before it happens to the client, not only one, do you look brilliant, two, you're setting an expectation before something bad does happen. Like you kind of are giving them a snippet because nobody likes a bad surprise. But what I got with Mary in that communication was she told me, she goes, okay, today I'm going to get the furniture.
Yeah.
Like, you need to know those kind of things with final walkthrough, and same with her, like, when I showed the property, I about killed myself on a rug, me and the client,
Yes.
our feet went out, and so she probably took the middle note, like, when I do those kind of rugs on LVP in the future, I need to put like a rubber mat under it, so a gripper. So I rolled it up because I knew she was
We
gonna
had one in 508. There was a grip on 508.
Oh, it was across the street from the one that I sold for Mary, but, and just this is just, you weren't expecting this at all. Sidebar about the market. Sometimes when you as a listing agent, get into multiple offers, I had an agent tell me, so that, oh, we got 14 shot, 12 offers, isn't that amazing? And I'm like, no, it's not.
Right.
It's not a fun place to be in, but such is the market. To some degree, if you're using skill and you're not just stupid and underpricing it. But if you're using skill and you know how to communicate with people, you have a property that is staged, then it comes down to, at the end of the day, in my books as a listing agent, which lender or which realtor do you want to
Yeah.
work with?
Exactly.
Period, case closed. And if you have a good relationship with a realtor, and she didn't know this, I was gonna tell this, but we got into an escalation on this particular property. She sent me the competing offer that was 3,000 more than our offer who she chose. So we went in at 192 and the escalation drove us all the way up to 192. And she sent me a copy of the 195 that they didn't choose. And I think we rock and rolled the whole time. We worked through, it was
Yeah.
probably the lengthiest repair list you've ever got.
And
It's like
the
6
most-
pages.
Yeah. It was,
Yeah, we
it was the
pages.
most
It was-
articulated repair list I've ever seen in my real estate career.
It was 6 pages long, but so. It was
We're
wonderful.
perfect, yeah.
We really did.
Yeah.
So if you communicate, you have a good reputation, because remember, your reputation always goes before you. And Mary and them could have easily chose the 195 offer. So I was thrilled that night that I was drinking and I got the call. I was drinking. And I was like, no, well, not thrilled that I was drinking and got your call that our offer was being chosen. So
Yeah.
3,000 left and less, and our little newlywed couple, we closed out Monday at Stockton. It was amazing.
I was just thinking that too. I couldn't remember if the other offer was FHA or not.
No, it was conventional.
Was
It was conventional. So I was like,
I was.
and I said, we're not. Well, I told her that night, I said, we're gonna write the history books on this one because FHA, 3,000 less, beat out conventional going 3,000 higher. So reputation is super important, communication is super
Yeah.
important. And staging a property, that made all the difference, because literally, my little new couple walked in and she goes, I could see us making babies here. Like,
Wow.
that is the most wonderful
So,
possible.
who am I?
Well, she meant starting immediately. I'm like 28 years old. That is a compliment to how this home looked. She could feel it, and then she walked
Yeah.
in the door.
So Mary can disclose that as long as her seller gives her permission to disclose what's the other offer.
Oh.
You did get that.
Yeah, he did.
Well, I'll tell you, it was very competitive, that property. And I know it's-
You-
Yeah.
But on the flip side of it, real quick, because I was trying to use everything as a teaching moment, but as a good buyer's agent, you want to be staying top of mind. So part of that, and I know we hear this complaint all the time on Bluegrass Realtors, nobody's giving feedback. Why don't people give feedback? Well, the first thing you can do to separate yourself in the mix of a sea of sameness with buyer's agents, when your offer is looking to get chosen, this is a critical moment for your buyers. One, leave showing feedback. And if you're gonna make an offer, give them the feel good fuzzies. I gave that to Mary. She probably was getting that maybe from a couple others out of the 10 she probably had. But give the showing feedback. Second thing, text them, let them know you're getting ready to send it. Then you want to see if confirm that they received the offer. That's super important. And then the whole time, what did I keep doing all weekend? How are we looking to?
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
good?
Yeah.
Are we in the top 3? I mean, I wanted to stay in the top of Mary's mind, and just about the plant thing, and I'll sit down. She left a plant.
Oh,
Plant mom, she left a plant as a nice closing gift for my folks. So how many listing agents leave a gift?
Like a hit, but,
Special.
It was
No,
fine.
I do that for.
So see, guys, so when you employ Mary and her services outside of her being a phenomenal realtor, she's a great stager and she's gonna leave behind with her listings, a great gift. So
Yeah.
what it done is it put me on the spot, because I always like to think I'm the gift. I don't buy gifts anymore. I just don't, I feel like, you know what, my
Here's the
surgeon
stuff,
has
yeah.
never given me a gift. My lawyer's never given me a gift.
Yeah.
They are the gift, their expertise. And that's kind of how I kind of look at it. So I was like, "Damn, I gotta go find something now."
Yeah.
So
yeah, yeah.
thank you very much. It
Yes,
was a
you're
very
welcome.
good transaction. So if you
Yeah,
guys are
yeah.
looking for a stellar agent to get in contract with, cannot recommend Mary Grenet.
Yes,
Just
thank
more.
you, and you as
Yeah.
well.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah. And it was, that's funny. I do leave plants for, I try anyway, for all my listing. The 508, I didn't because.
That was a bad deal, or was it?
No, it isn't closed yet, but, I really like the pot that everyone was in, so I had to take. it. So, yeah. Good,
You know, you can't, you gotta have the pots.
I know, yeah.
Do the sellers not often pay for staging?
Okay, so yeah, in my opinion, the question I had, I figured out. So what I did, there was a couple different ways you could do it, right? When I started, I was taking, I just said you could do it out of closing, like out of your proceeds that you could do. So we could probably still work something out with that, sure, just depending on the scope of the, like how big the house is, how much I have to put into there. I have never had an agent, well, that's not true. Some agents do pay for it up front, and then they know they'll get it back at closing, because I mean, really, yeah, and you get it, out of here again. Because I mean, if you stage at home, it's gonna go higher, you want it to go higher, again, that's my goal, you want your listing to go higher than the asked for, so. But yeah, then on the other side of it, the sellers will typically pay it. And they really don't talk about it, because you as agents can say, hey, look, this is gonna, really put you on the forefront of all of your,
Different for a larger listing. If you have a big listing that's $1 million, you just pay for that as the agent. Or do you
as
have-
a listing agent. For me, it depends on how bad I want the listing, sure,
I'll never do it again. I got burned.
yeah, it's tough. It's tough, I started doing it, but then, yeah, you have to be,
It's the fee that you pass on to your client.
Yeah.
The seller.
yes, yes. Now, we are gonna see, probably a little shift in that, right? Because when I started doing it, this was like 2018. And my client that I was doing for, he was like, okay, yeah, because he told me the first house I did it for, I don't know if, and I can disclose this, he told me. So, but I don't know, I don't know if it's full or not, but this house was a few years ago. If you remember, there was a shooting at the Fayette Mall. So this house, this very first house that I staged was part of that. And they were like, they did a drive-by shooting one night and just blew the house to bits. Just like, and it was a stone facade house. So you could really see bullet holes in the stone. And so when I said, well, I think we should stage it, maybe. And so he paid the money to do it. And then he still to this day says, I can't believe you sold that house. And I'm like, well, maybe it was the couch. I don't know. Maybe it was the rug. Yeah, not sure. But and the guy,
There's the bullet hole.
they did. But it was, but the house in the community had a stigma on it, everybody knew that this was the case and.
Yeah.
And all of the things, so yeah, we did some repairs and then put a fancy couch in and called it a day. Very cool.
You have been brothers what they. 50%.
Yeah, I think I've had one that, yeah, she said she paid for it up front and or whatever. I have a little bit more flexibility, just, myself, I can say, oh, I'll pay for the staging up front and take it out of closing, but again, you have to be very confident on your listing, you know, you want, you know, as you, okay, this will sell for this price, how quick, let's see how quick, you know.
You could also write that into your exclusive right to sell.
Yeah,
I would.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, absolutely. Put that in there. Yes, and
actually, I've had, a situation recently with one of our agents that the seller changed their mind. Decided they didn't want to sell.
Mhm.
They got a full price offer, still didn't want to sell. So the agent had to run quite a bit of stuff to the house. And I said, send them an invoice. Don't,
Yeah.
don't think that you can.
Yes,
And
I
I
have
said-
had that happen before.
and they did send it to the seller, and the seller said, yes, absolutely, I'll pay it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was working with the seller too, and this would have been, I think it was 2020, because I was meaning to say, you know, okay, we started in 2018. When I was just starting, well, then 2020 hit. And you didn't stage anything in 2020, like, you barely opened the door and it was gone. So, you know, I probably staged like 2 houses in 2020, because they were all selling. But, you know, I had my seller who, and we were helping him with design and paint colors and everything, and I had started, you know, figuring out my stuff I was gonna do. And he had a lady come up to the front door and just offer cash for it. And I hadn't had him sign the exclusive right to sell yet, because I was busy, I had faith in him. He was gonna do it, I knew it was fine, it wasn't. And he sold it without me. And so I sent him an invoice, and I said, look.
He paid
What
it?
is it? You play, you pay, you play, you pay.
Yeah,
And he paid it.
Yeah.
So, and he's still my client today, so there, I don't think there is any hard feelings about
Yeah.
that either, but, yeah, I mean. They have to understand, you know, your service is our time.
yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This has been great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes. You're good. Yeah, if you have any questions at all, you can just,
Right,
yeah.
thank you.
Have those versions for me.
We should give time, probably next week. Scott, we're still getting my timeline worked out. I'm gonna be moving and we want to